When I first started dating my husband, I would say a lot that I don't even know what a healthy relationship looks like. I'm so grateful to have learned so many things that really helped me and really were so crucial in me being successful in my relationship now. I unfortunately grew up with a lot of childhood experiences that were super stressful. I'm the oldest of five, and I grew up in an environment that felt very unsafe. Because of that, it later manifested into adult symptoms of complex post traumatic stress disorder or CPTSD. My name is Mandi Gardner. I'm a yoga teacher. I have been since 2014. I'm also the author of a book called Rising, A Woman's Journey of Healing Through Rituals. It'll be available November 18th, 2025. Did you ever experience childhood trauma? Did you experience parents that didn't get along, divorce, maybe multiple moves, physical abuse, or emotional neglect? Did you know that long-term childhood neglect actually leads to experiencing adult symptoms of complex PTSD? That was a big light bulb moment for me to learn that, because that really helped me to understand why I had all these things that I was dealing with, like anxiety, depression, trust issues, relationship issues, hypervigilance, overworking, overexerting myself. Do you struggle with intense emotions? Do you struggle in relationship? If you're a woman who experienced childhood trauma and are now facing these symptoms like anxiety, intense anxiety, depression, mood swings, intense emotions, trust issues, relationship issues, a lot of these things were rooted in childhood emotional wounds. I want to share with you the four main things that really helped me to truly transform my life and heal from the symptoms of trauma. I went to 15 years of talk therapy before I stumbled upon the skills that I actually needed to heal my nervous system and to change my behaviors in a way that could help me have new outcomes in my life, to create the life that I really desired, instead of repeating old unhealthy patterns that I was stuck in for so many years. I really appreciate my talk therapist. I think that she was a really great listener. And I know that there's a wide variety of types of therapists and a wide variety of education. Unfortunately, my experience was that 15 years I went to this woman. Every time I went, I was rehashing old memories and what I was so hurt by. And I would leave feeling re traumatized and resensitized to the world. And I never learned how to be more resilient, how to communicate my needs more effectively, how to understand the importance of emotional regulation, and how to really solve the problems that come up in our interpersonal relationships. So I really struggled with trust issues and with communicating my needs. And it really led to failed relationship after failed relationship. I got so sick and tired of feeling crummy and not living my best life. This is why I share this message, because these four steps genuinely helped me more than 15 years of talk therapy. So let's get into it. The four steps are represented by the word C.A.L.M. The first one, C, represents to create a self-care schedule and set healing intentions. Why is this so important? Well, when it comes to healing our nervous system, I know from personal experience dealing with trauma in my childhood and moving into adulthood and unhealthy relationships, repeating that. Healing our nervous system when we're dealing with symptoms of trauma and PTSD, complex PTSD, a big part of that is that we can get easily overwhelmed, easily triggered. Our nervous system can be lit up, right? So, how do we calm ourselves? How do we bring ourselves back down to a more emotionally regulated state? The biggest thing I have found is making sure that my schedule includes the things I need to stay regulated. For example, sleep. Making sure that I'm getting good quality sleep, that I'm getting to bed at a specific time, whatever works for you, and then making sure that you get your full night's rest, right? Like, and allowing yourself to have some time before you go to bed to wind down, to really allow your brain and your body to settle in and to have good sleep. The big part of keeping our emotions regulated, if we're struggling with intensity, sleep's huge. So when it comes to the schedule, putting in sleep and making sure that you're making time to eat, right? Like, I am a hairdresser. I have been for 26 years. And how many times do I miss my lunch because I'd rather get in a haircut? And then I go 8 hours working hard with no nourishment. And then I wonder why I completely break down at the end of the day because I'm not nourishing my body and I'm running on empty. So, making a schedule that really supports what you need to be your best self, to be your healthiest, most nourished self. This also includes making time for your values and priorities, meaning your friends, your family, work. What is really important to you? Exercising, yoga, walking in the park, walking your dog. What are the things that you really value, and how can you implement them into your life to create more balance? In order to really heal our nervous system, be serious about it. It's not going to be easy. It takes a lot of work. Setting intentions that this is really what is good for you, meaning that it's also going to be really good for the people in your environment, the people that you love and care about. The more that you can help yourself be more grounded and stable and communicate more effectively, the more that you can really feel supported in your relationships. Getting clear about your intentions is a really important piece. Number two is address and reduce vulnerabilities. I kind of touched on this with the self-care schedule because we're trying to create our lives in a way that helps us to stay as emotionally regulated as possible. That means being rested and well nourished. Also, making sure that you're spending time on what is truly valuable to you. Addressing vulnerabilities can be approached by setting a self-care schedule, but also it can refer to your interpersonal relationships. Are there relationships that are causing a lot of negative emotion more than positive? Are there relationships where you are offering them way more benefit than they're offering you? Is it one-sided or is it a truly reciprocal relationship? If you're spending time in relationships with people who are not supportive of you and your healing journey, it's really something that you should consider. Your environment is huge. And so, are there people that are triggering you? And if so, like, do we need to go around those people? So, as you get to know me, you'll understand that one of the reasons that I experienced so much trauma as a kid is because my mother has what's called emotional dysregulation disorder. So, she has an inability to regulate her emotions. And because of that, it made her unavailable to be a mom a lot of times. And because I was the oldest, I was a girl, was put in charge. She couldn't deal, and so I would have to deal with all the kids. I was the oldest of five. Hence where I had some stressful experiences. Reducing vulnerabilities. There was a point in time where spending time with my mom would really trigger me and get me so upset to where I was upset for a couple of days. I did not have the proper coping skills at that point to really deal with that relationship in an effective way. And so I took some time off. I did not spend time with her for several years while I did some self work, and I learned more about what she struggles with. I learned more about how to manage my emotions, understand them, how to communicate more effectively, just how to have better relationships. And so when I felt more confident, I started initiating more conversation with her and trying to support that relationship within healthy boundaries. Reducing vulnerabilities talks about having healthier boundaries. Unfortunately, when we deal with trauma in our childhood, a lot of times that could be unhealthy relationships with parents, right? How do we have healthy boundaries if maybe our parents didn't teach us, right? Or maybe our environment, our society, our church, or our community did not teach us how to have healthy boundaries. So that's a really important piece, right? The third one is L, which is learn what they don't teach you in talk therapy. I feel really strongly about this just because I was in talk therapy for 15 years, paid a lot of money to have someone listen to me. And bless her heart, that was fine. And I don't want to downgrade it. Like, I do think that there is such a crucial element to that. That was a really foundational step. But then I found that I plateaued for a long time and it wasn't helping me anymore. I guess that would be the more accurate thing to say. I don't want to disregard it completely. I do think it can be very valuable and there are wonderful therapists out there. I also just know that there's also some really shit ones too. So be careful, right? Anyway, so L, learn what they don't teach you in talk therapy. So the two things that I teach, learn what they don't teach you in talk therapy. So, I am a yoga teacher, and I'm a yoga teacher for a very specific reason because yoga has really helped me. It's really healed me. And so, I teach yoga, specifically Ashtanga yoga, and I'm very passionate and I'm a big advocate for Ashtanga yoga for healing from trauma. The reason for that is because it's a specific sequence that you learn. You're asked to memorize, right? So you're in a situation where you're memorizing the sequence where your mind is busy. And so after you have this opportunity where you're like, wow, gosh, like I didn't stress out about my stuff at all because I was so focused on learning the postures and learning the sequence. And then once you memorize it, it can become this really beautiful muscle memory and this really beautiful moving meditation. And I really, really love it. It's helped me so much. So that's why I share it because I think it is so valuable. The other thing, learn what they don't teach you in talk therapy, is dialectical behavior therapy or DBT skills. So, because my mom struggles with what's called emotional dysregulation disorder or borderline personality disorder, also known as, but it's not a very nice term to say, typically in the world of psychology, they offer DBT to people who are diagnosed with borderline and or emotional dysregulation disorder. And unfortunately, I think it should be taught in high schools. Like, we're in a place in our society where people need to learn these fundamental skills, right? So, DBT, the four main topics or skills, well, there's lots of skills all underneath the four main topics, which are emotional regulation, learning how to name and identify your emotions. If you've always been used to stuffing them down and your parent told you, don't you dare cry, be tough, right? Then maybe we don't know how to access, maybe we don't know how to read, right? So that's the very first step is like allowing ourselves to figure out how we feel and being able to name it. And that's personal, that's on our own time. Mindfulness is huge. It's really starting to be taught in more industries, which I think is really cool. Mindfulness is taught in dialectical behavior therapy, which was created by Marsha Linehan, who not only is a research psychologist, but she's also a Zen master. So it's really fascinating how she's been able to incorporate this Zen philosophy into her very Western psychology world. And she's tested it, it's been proven, it works. But mindfulness is number one, especially if we get stuck in our trauma brain, which, if we're dealing with symptoms of CPTSD, we are a victim of going into black and white thinking, catastrophizing, maximizing the bad, minimizing the good, things like that. And these can be totally subconscious and we just resort to them. But as soon as you start educating yourself and you know, like, oh, I totally do that when I'm triggered, right? I go into this catastrophizing where it's the end of the world and oh my gosh, we're going to break up. Recognizing, like, okay, I'm dysregulated and so I need to take a step back. So, mindfulness, learning how to be the observer of our thoughts. Now, that's taught in DBT. What's another beautiful way to learn mindfulness? Yoga, right? So, yoga and DBT actually integrate so beautifully. I love it. So, first one is mindfulness, second one is emotional regulation, and then the third one is interpersonal effectiveness. So, the third one is interpersonal effectiveness skills. I said it right. That's a hard one to get out. But anyway, sorry. So, growing up, so I grew up with parents who did not talk about emotions, right? They did not talk about our feelings. We basically just pretend everything's fine and shove everything in, right? Super dysfunctional. So how do we relate to others if we've never learned, right? If we didn't learn from our parents how to relate, how do we do that? Dear Man is an interpersonal effectiveness skill taught within DBT. Dear Man is amazing. I'm not going to go into it right now just because it's too much. I have a little Pinterest flyer that goes through the Dear Man steps. It's really informative and cool, totally free on Pinterest. I'll put a link in the description and you can find that. Learn what they don't teach you in talk therapy. Yoga, building a daily practice, a daily sadhana, basically this mindfulness movement for yourself. Also, the DBT skills, which have been super crucial. If I didn't learn these DBT skills, I probably would not be in relationship with my husband right now. Like we would have broke up because I was raised by a borderline, right? They have this huge fear of abandonment. And so they're so afraid of being abandoned that they abandon first, right? And they're like, oh, I'm so afraid of being broken up that we're done. And so that's what I adopted. She was my main caregiver. When we were first starting to date, me and my husband, something happened where I got super triggered. It was on Facebook and like it said his account was frozen and I thought he blocked me and I was like, what the F? So I got super triggered and I texted him and was like, we're done. And then sure enough, he's like, I canceled my account. What are you talking about? I didn't block you. It was something totally silly. But I had resorted to that, like, we're done, we're breaking up, because I was afraid that he was breaking up with me. Super unhealthy, right? So how do we learn to get out of that? Well, DBT was huge for me. Let me be clear, because I've talked about borderline, also known as emotional dysregulation disorder, and I've talked about CPTSD, in the world of psychology, they're different things. They are, right? They have a different list of symptoms. With BPD or emotional dysregulation disorder, there's 9 symptoms. If you have 5 of them, you're thought to have the disorder. With CPTSD, there's different symptoms, right? Could include flashbacks, could include hypervigilance. So there's different things. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is a lot of these things are gray zone and a lot of these things interconnect. My mom had a super dysfunctional relationship with her mom. And bless my mom's heart, she's doing a lot better than her mom did. She repeated old patterns. I'm a big advocate for anyone who has struggled with like relationship issues, emotional, like intense emotions, an inability to communicate their needs effectively. Like I think dialectical behavior therapy is amazing. And that's why I share it. I'm not a therapist. I'm a yoga teacher. I am someone who so my DBT background, how I learned was because I participated in a nonprofit organization called NEA-BPD, National Education Alliance of Borderline Personality Disorder. When I realized that my mom was struggling, I sought out help. This program is the 12-week course for family members of those who struggle with either BPD or ED. If this sounds like something you could resonate with, search them out. It's a wonderful program. I participated in the 12-week program after I waited a year to get in. And that 12-week program blew my mind. And, my symptoms are more in alignment with CPTSD versus borderline, right? But learning the DBT skills were transformational, like huge, night and day, right? And so the more research I do, they're actually not that easy to learn, right? They're not that accessible. I just share from my personal experience. I did volunteer for Family Connections and I did co-host courses and I taught courses with another co-host and it was wonderful. We held a group, we taught the skills and the whole time I was thinking how beautiful this would integrate with yogic philosophy and with pranayama breathing exercises to help develop more mindfulness. I combined the two and I think it's beautifully integrated. It really supports one another. So M is master daily practice for peace and connection. Dealing with symptoms of trauma, they can lead to addictive behaviors. It can lead to alcoholism. I struggled with alcoholism for 20 years. I got sober in 2018 and it was the best thing I ever did because unfortunately for me, I used it as a really unhealthy coping mechanism. and I wasn't able to control it. It controlled me. And so I'm grateful I was able to quit, because that was really the beginning, the transformation of me healing. And, maybe I can go into that story sometime if you guys are interested. But, I had a repressed memory come up like 9 months into sobriety. And so it kind of blew my world up. It was really interesting. Master daily practice for peace and connection. When we are genuinely trying to heal from these symptoms bombard us every day, right? Every day we're dealing with anxiety, hypervigilance, depression, trying to be enough, do enough. So every single day you need to make time for yourself, for your healing journey, for just connecting to your breath, even just being able to have a moment where you sit in silence. I think it's fundamental and so important. And practicing yoga every day and learning every day is so valuable and crucial when we're healing from trauma, right? Because it bombards us, right? Like, it is overwhelming at times. And so, how do we get a grip on it? How do we take control of it? We have to address it every day, every single morning. You need a morning ritual that helps you to center yourself and really help you to have good healing intentions. How are you going to move forward in the day? How are you going to have grace for yourself if things don't look perfect like the way that you had planned them? All right, my friends, if you're still with me, thank you so much. I would love to offer you my free guide. It's a really beautiful educational tool that helps you to look at healing from the symptoms of childhood trauma. For example, causing no harm. How do we cause no harm? We might not cause harm to other people intentionally, but how are we with our self talk? That's a big part of healing, is being able to be mindful of that negative self-talk and being able to address it. If any of this resonates, I would love for you to grab my free guide. It's called Yoga's 8 Limbs to Heal Trauma and Find Lasting Peace. It's 14 pages. It's an introduction to the 8 limbs of yoga through the perspective of healing from childhood trauma, or the symptoms of anxiety, depression, relationship issues, trust issues, hypervigilance, etc. For those of you out there who are really ready to start feeling better, if you experienced childhood trauma, or if you're experiencing symptoms of complex PTSD and you want to heal your nervous system and create supportive relationships and the life of your dreams, then these 4 things are absolutely crucial. So, the 4 steps: C, create a self care schedule and set healing intentions. A, address and reduce vulnerabilities. L, learn what they don't teach you in talk therapy. And M, master daily practice for peace and connection. Be sure to grab my free guide. I think you'll really love it. It's a beautiful little read, and it gives you something to really consider and contemplate. If you're interested in diving deep in the daily calm practice, I have a group cohort that runs 4 times a year. The next one will be January of 2026. If that's something you're interested in, check out my website. You can either sign up for the wait list, or you can also sign up for a call with me, just a free 30-minute call, just to see if you're a good fit for the program and to answer any questions you might have. My name is Mandi Gardner, and it was such a gift to have you here. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that this resonated in a positive way. I hope that it was helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.